visited and everything, walked back inside the house, and I was like, I'm done. And decided to take a bunch of pills.
Feeling down, never felt this down before. It's got my mind
So the big
racing.
event was I was actually assaulted in 2012, and I didn't say anything.
So many things went wrong. So many friends have gone. I've been hurting for so long. For so long. But I won't give up.
Realizing that even though if I'm physically alone, I'm not alone. There's other people
Right.
that have been through this.
It'd be so easy, I admit. I'm not built that way.
Welcome, everybody, to Straight Talk Podcast. I am Johnny Mo, retired Air Force alcoholic suicide survivor. Just trying to raise some awareness for veteran suicide, PTS, and the struggles that we have when we transition over to civilian life. Today's guest reached out to me through one or two, three, four mutual friends, and now we're finally connecting. She is a lieutenant in the reserve. She wishes to keep that part quiet, so we won't disclose her last name. So today's guest is Lieutenant Leanne, who has had an interesting time in the service. She started off as a Marine in aviation maintenance, attached to, I can't remember the name of the unit, but it was essentially avionics, aeronautical maintenance at the White House, right? So she took care of the helicopters over there for the White House. Did that for a few years, got transferred out to the West Coast, decided, hey, you know what? I got a degree. I'm going to be an officer. So now she's an officer in the Naval Reserve. She does her duty out on the West Coast. And she has been gracious enough to take some time to tell us about her experiences. While all not great, she wants to share her story so that others know essentially they are not alone. The same kind of stuff that us at JohnnyMoMedia and Save 22 talk about all the time. So, Lieutenant, thank you for joining us. I know it's been a rough couple of weeks with the holidays and this massive cold snap we have, and now Mother Nature is trying to kill us with 60 degrees and rain. So, thanks for joining me.
All right, thanks, Johnny, for having me.
Hey, no problem. Hey, so you joined the Marine Corps right out of high school, right?
Correct. I graduated a year early, joined at 17.
Why Marine Corps?
Because people said I couldn't do it, and it was the hardest. So.
Oh, this is gonna be a good little discussion. The first thing she says is, I did it because they said I couldn't. All right, so this is gonna be a good one. So I'm assuming you went to the East Coast for boot camp.
Correct.
You went down to Paris Island.
Yeah, back then they didn't have females on the West Coast, so I'm not sure if they've completely integrated that or not, but yeah.
I have no idea. All I know is you jarheads in your East Coast, West Coast fights are funny as shit sometimes. Boot camp is boot camp as far as I know. We only
pretty
have
much.
one.
It's only the men that fight about it. I don't know if it's a size measuring contest or what's up with it, but that's generally what I've seen.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
Any problems for you while you were in boot camp, or did you just keep yourself quiet and make it through, or did you stand out or hide in the corner, or what'd you do?
Oh, I stood out. I stood out. I got in trouble quite a bit, but I made it through, obviously. But no, I got in trouble a bit. Nothing too crazy that I remember seeing or while I was in there, but nope. I was very fit. I was very fit when I got out of boot camp. Like very, very fit. Yeah.
Most of us are, except us Air Force guys. Got calluses on our ass from sitting in chair. But hey, so after boot, you do 4 months of that, and then you go to AIT. Where was your AIT at?
It was in New River. I'm drawing a blank on what the name of it. I want to say Camp Geiger, I believe was the name of it. But that's where we do our weapons training.
So you went for aviation electronics right off the bat, or aviation maintenance, or what was it?
So when I agreed to it, I honestly didn't have any idea what I was doing. They said there was a bonus, and I was like, "Cool, that
I'll
sounds
take it.
great."
Yeah.
Right, pretty much. So I was aviation and electronics, from the RIP, which was like the maintenance of it, but I didn't know like which level I was going to be in or anything like that. I didn't find that out till um I I think the end of boot camp. Oh, it's Marine Combat Training is what it's called. Sorry, I just
Oh, it's
remembered that. But yeah,
MCT now.
yeah, it's MCT for, well, hell, I don't even know with
I
what
think
they're doing nowadays.
I
It was
think all you
MCT
guys
for
do that,
me.
right? All you guys do,
Oh,
or everyone in the Marine Corps does MCT, right?
correct. The AIT type portion is like your ground side people and things of that nature. So our MCT is only like at, I don't know, 27 days, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that.
And you still had no idea you were going to presidential support.
Correct. I had
When
not
did you
had
find that out?
a school in Pensacola.
What
They
was your
told me.
immediate reaction?
I thought it was friggin' awesome. What was I? I was still 17 at the time, and I was like, that sounds great. Like, yeah, let me go work on the president's helicopters. This sounds
Right.
amazing. Yeah, I mean, it was something.
Now that was out of Andrews, or you did this straight out of DC, or where were you at?
Quantico.
Quantico's where you did your stuff?
Yep, yep. So this is back when they had 53s and 46s. So I was a
Mm-hmm.
46 aviation electronics. So that's where I went, was Quantico.
Did you ever get to fly on them?
That was part of our, trips and stuff. We'd have to go support the president, and we would fly on those aircraft, and then we would have to wipe them down ceremoniously with Windex
Yep.
after every flight. Yeah, no, it wasn't ceremoniously, but it was. We did have to. So it was like, great, this is a great flight, and then, damn, let me go scrub the bugs off. It was
Right.
it was interesting.
Now, did you do anything overseas, or just everything back here, presidential support?
Everything was back here. I went to the G8 summit a couple times. Um, well, yeah, one in Canada, and then I believe might have been one in New York. I went to New York a bunch. Went out to the California, um, Pennsylvania. Basically, wherever the president goes, there's going to be some type of Marine One helicopter there.
Oh yeah, there's at least two of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So
I've been through that stuff. I worked AWACS for a little bit, so we had
okay.
we had to have a little bit of conversation with some people that claim that they're not around once in a while. We've been through all that kind of bullshit. So you and I were talking before this started, and you said that you had a superior, I guess is the best way to put it, assault you while you were in, and that kind of fucked you up for quite a bit. Do you want to tell me about that for a little bit, like where you were, what? Yeah, you don't have to get into particulars, but there are people that are going to hear this and say, you know what, that sounds oddly familiar to me. So what are you thinking?
Right.
How far you want to get
So,
into that?
oh, we'll go to that and see where it takes me. So the individual he wasn't in my direct train. He was senior to me in rank, and then basically it was actually right before I transferred over to the West Coast. I was assaulted, and I didn't say anything because a lot of times, especially back then, it turns into a he said, she said. Um, I didn't want to bring anything up because I immediately thought I was wrong because I had been drinking. And even though like I tried to say stop and no and everything like that, again, he said, she said. So I didn't say anything. I internalized it and transferred out. Unfortunately, I mean, still to this day, I kind of wish I had said something because he ended up doing it to 2 other females before he was finally kicked out. So
Those two
that
other
sucks for me.
females, were they all in the same unit? Were you guys all in the same unit? Where
Yeah, different divisions of it,
was
I
he
guess.
was he presidential support as well? Wow. In case you didn't hear, she kind of broke up there. She did say yes, and he was in the presidential support unit. How did you?
And just to say, like, the unit just didn't know about it. It wasn't that they did. As
Right,
soon as they were told something, they took care of it
something
and went
happened.
with it. Right.
Right. So we want to be clear. The unit didn't sweep anything under the rug. They didn't protect anybody. The unit never found out about
Not about
it.
mine, no.
Not about
Not
yours.
until he was being prosecuted for the other two.
And how long after this assault did you transfer out? Were you no longer part of that unit? Was it a couple weeks? Was it
Week or
couple?
2 weeks.
Oh, so it wasn't long at all.
No.
Okay, so in that week, did you still have to report back? Did you have to see the individual again? Did you ever make contact with him again?
No, he was in a different division of the same overall unit. So no, I didn't have to converse with him. I was already on the checkout process, so I wasn't going back as much anyway.
Right, right,
It was kind of like, the lead time up to leaving. So, um, I mean, that kind of helped me avoid the,
right.
the entire situation, if you were. But he did end up trying to reach out to me. Maybe I think it was during when he was being prosecuted.
Really?
Yeah, and
Fucking balls. Holy shit. No kidding.
yeah, well, yeah, he tried to go through a mutual friend, and I was like, no, I'm not having anything to do with that. So
What was he reaching out for? Did he want to apologize? Did he want to intimidate? Do you have any idea?
I have no idea. I do know that NCIS had come out to me after everything was asked me if I wanted to make a statement. Um, and I was actually at sergeant's course at the time, and so that was fun getting pulled out of class to talk to NCIS. But I said, I asked them, what would I have to do if I made a statement? I would have had to go all the way back to Quantico to testify. And at that time, I was a single mom with 2 little ones, and I was like, I just broke down into tears and said, I can't do it. It's like I can't do it. So I decided not to make a statement and go through with it. It was just I couldn't face it or handle it at the time because my entire life was just in a disarray.
So you did not partake or participate at all in this individual's prosecution.
Nope, I did not. They tried to, somebody from Quantico like even reached out to my unit, and they tried to, like, they told my unit, my like one of the guys I worked with in my shop, that it was adultery. And I was like, no, that's not what it, like, he basically gave out my information to people I worked with, and false information. I'm pretty sure that guy ended up getting in big trouble.
Wait, who
But
did this? NCIS?
oh, no, it was some Lance Corporal or Corporal from like PMO or something at Quantico. I don't know
So
exactly who
some
it was.
cocksucker that don't have anything to do with the fucking case, you or him, just starts
He
fucking
wanted
talking shit.
he wanted some type of information about something, and um yeah,
Jesus Christ.
I it was bad. And then because then once he did that, then I had to talk to my unit
Right.
about what happened. Then I had to explain what happened. I went through. You had to talk to Sapper. It was an unrestricted because already, he had put all of my information out there. And so, yeah, that was fun.
I hope someone smacked his pee for him quite fucking hard. I
I
really do.
heard, I heard that my CO at the time, he apologized, and he's like, I'm taking care of that. Like he's pretty pissed off about how that happened too. I don't know
Did
if it was
any
just some dumb
good?
Lance corporal that just didn't, I'm sorry. I didn't know if it was some dumb Lance corporal that just didn't know
Yeah.
costs or what. But
Like,
it
what the
was,
fuck does that cocksucker have to gain from narking on you or telling your fucking story? You'll hear me say quite a bit that, I have a friend and this is what went down, but you have to realize it's his story to tell. I'm only giving you pieces and parts.
Right.
he's got no business saying
No,
anything,
no,
you
the
know?
most that he ever should have said was, I just need to speak with her. It's about I mean, he could have said it was about a case. He didn't have to
Yeah,
guess what it was about or anything like that because, I mean, he was
that's
wrong. So,
horrible. That's horrible.
right.
You know, my daughter has a friend that was sexually assaulted in Korea, and I don't have all the details. All I know is that female left Korea early. They said for her protection, and ironically, she was out of the Air Force within a year. You know, her stress level was such that she put on probably 60 plus pounds, couldn't
Right.
pass the PT, couldn't go to work, you know, really fucked with her. With you having gone, you transferred out within a week or so, and you went from East Coast to West Coast and never told a soul. I'm
Mm-mm.
curious how that played in your head. You know, you're still a mom, you've still got kids. What, and you weren't married at the time of the assault, correct? You were
No,
separated or
no,
divorced.
I was,
You
so that
were.
was, that was part of it. Yeah, no, I was married and, I always wondered if it was how do I put this out? He, my ex-husband was friends with the guy that did it. And, um, he had been trying to, my ex-husband had been trying to leave me prior to this. And then this was like his, literally,
His coup de grace.
right. He said if, he would testify against me and all this other type of stuff if I kept the kids. And it was a whole thing. So I was getting slammed from both ends of this one. No.
Narcissistic pricks is what it sounds like to me. They just wanted to fucking power up
Yeah.
on you. And are you okay right now? I see you.
Yeah. No, 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 I'm okay. I fidget a
Okay.
lot. I fidget a lot and, talking about it always kind of brings up something, but I'm still being, I'm still in recovery. Recovery is a constant thing. So,
It's a daily thing, and that goes for
right.
anybody. If you think all of a sudden you talk to somebody about it and you work through the process and you've now um, given it its own place in your head, right? You've come to terms with it or you've made peace with it, whatever you want to call it. Um, it is still a daily process, whether it's
Right.
alcohol addiction, drug addiction, and I still don't have this Zoom meeting fixed. I don't understand what's going on with this. So, you know, you said yourself that it's it's still a process. I can see you visually struggling with it. Even now as we speak, and it's been, if I did my math right, it's been just over
Look,
10 years, right?
right. It has. And I
And
mean, I still have nightmares and
oh,
things of that nature.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely. When you got out west and like we said, you thought that you were married and you think that it had something to do with it, you chose not to prosecute. How how did you feel? What was in your head? Did you feel as if um, you, this never happened to anybody else? Did you feel that there was nobody that you could talk to in either chain of command or civilian wise, off base wise, that would understand? Did you think that because you were a female that you had been drinking that it was a group environment that it would turn around on you and not be them, and then you would be the one in trouble?
yeah, no, literally like that last part is another big reason why I didn't say anything. Again, like I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but he said, she said is what it ends up turning in. It could possibly turn into. In this situation, I feel like if I had made a statement after, NCIS had come out to me, it would have been, I guess I'd had a better chance of people believing it because it happened to two other people. So it's like there's a trend,
Pattern of
you
behavior,
know.
a trend.
Right, right.
Right. Were you the
So
first one? Were you his
I
first
guess
victim?
I that was brought into it. I don't know if there's
You
anybody
don't know.
prior to. I do. I mean, I heard things about him being very forward with other females, but I don't know if it went to that level. So it was something that was known. But I definitely, the biggest thing is I felt abandoned. I felt abandoned. I felt like people didn't help me, that people were seeing everything and nobody stepped up. And, even my husband didn't step up to help me. He abandoned me.
So you're
So that
saying at
was,
the time of the event, not afterwards. You're saying during the event is when you felt like people just
oh
turned their
no,
backs.
this was afterwards, because this is afterwards. I feel like people turn their backs, but at the same time, it was a group setting. So people saw him follow me upstairs and nobody stopped.
Said a word.
Right.
Yeah. It's
So,
unfortunate, and I'm very sorry that it happened to you, and I cannot express this enough that you we talked about balls earlier. You've got balls for talking now. It takes a lot of courage to talk about things like this, and especially situations where we feel that we may have done something wrong and it was, honestly 100% not our fault. And to be able to talk through this, you went several years before you actually had I don't know, I guess we'll call it a breakdown, a moment where you thought suicide was the answer. It took many years for this to happen to you, correct?
right. It took many years I guess, for me to actually act. During that time, there was many times where I felt like, man, I wish somebody would just crash into me. I wish I might just run into this tree, or, there was, I mean, the alcohol, I drank so much during that period that, I'm surprised my liver still works. But it's, I think that was just the straw that broke the camel's back, for lack of a better term, is when I finally said I'm done in 2019.
So we're gonna have to break and come back into another Zoom session because I still haven't figured out this 45-minute deal and why it keeps cutting me off. But when we get back, I want to talk about what led up to that 2019 event where you tried to take your own life, and why it didn't work and how you felt, and what you're doing now to work with that. So listen, everybody, stay tuned. You're going to find, what am I trying to say here? Episode 2 of the LT in just a minute. So listen, hop on over to JohnnyMoMedia.com and check out the other 50 some episodes we got going on, and make sure to check out save22.vet for some of our programs that we can maybe help you out with. All right, we'll be back in just a minute. All right, everybody, welcome back. This is episode 2, or 1 alpha, or part 2 continued, or whatever you want to call it, for the Lieutenant Leanne here. When we broke off of 1, we had just talked about how she was over 10 years, or close to 10 years from her assault, when she finally had felt like she had had enough and wanted to end it all. And I'd like to talk about the couple weeks leading up to that event, if you don't mind. You and I talked about it before we started recording.
Right.
But for everyone out there, what led up to that episode? Now you're talking, a couple weeks, a month. Did you have anything going through your mind, or was this I just hit this moment and I'm done? Because when I had my suicide attempt, something in me just clicked. My wife had said, we just had an argument, and she just said something that really hit home, and I couldn't handle the truth. And the truth was, she didn't want to be around me. My kids didn't want to be around me. I didn't want to be around anybody. I was pissed off at the world for everything. I couldn't smile. I didn't share my emotions, laugh. It was always anger. And that's when I just said, fuck it, I'm done. Did you go through anything leading up to that event, or did you have I don't know, an aha moment that kind of said, you know what, fuck this, I'm done?
I mean, looking back, There was a bunch of different factors. I know, you know, for the longest time, I always thought PTSD was only related to getting blown up.
Yep, me
Or,
too. Me too.
right. And so people would just say I'm angry and I was violent and things of that nature, especially when I drank. When I drank, I had zero filter and I didn't care.
Yep, me
Um,
too.
yeah, it was fun times. But so leading up to it, there would always be times, especially when I drank, if I felt super alone and stuff like that. It's like I hate it here. I don't want to live anymore, things of that nature. But I would never actually like make a plan or do any of that. I would just kind of pass out, wake up the next day, and be like, "All right, idiot," and move on, and it would
Right.
repeat. It wasn't until actually I got back to Ohio and I dated a guy who actually ended up working for not ended up, but he was working for the DAV at the time, and that didn't last very long because of my issues. But he's like, you do realize that you have all the signs of PTSD, and I was like, nope, that's only if you get blown up, and so there we go. So I at that point that was probably 16, 15, 16, no 15, and then I tried to start, I was
So
trying to start
I
dating.
need to stop you for a second because we're not going to show this on video because Leanne asked me not to. So I just have to tell you, there has been zero interruption in the first half of this recording. And as soon as she starts talking about her traumatic events and everything, her cat decides I need to come in and I need to rub on her. I need to get my pheromones on her face. She's rubbing her ass in her face on her face. I mean, she is doing everything,
Falling all over me. Yeah.
falling all over her just to get her to stop talking and pay attention to the cat. I just thought that you guys would see that because those of you who have been through these events and have an animal at home know that if that animal knows you, it knows when you are getting into a
Yep.
stressed situation. They know, they feel it, they sense it, whatever. And she's nodding her head right now. She absolutely knows that that is what this cat is doing. And she has got a shit-eating grin, Leanne does, from shitting and grin from ear to ear. So she knows that's exactly what's going on. She keeps trying to put the cat out of the picture. It's not happening. The cat keeps wanting to come back. I just have to laugh about that.
She
So
might leave me
try.
alone now. We'll see.
I don't know. We'll see. But it's just it's funny to me how animals know. Number
Right.
one, and how much our own attitudes change if we allow them to do what they're trying to do. And
Right. If
she's got
I wasn't in this and I was in a different setting, I totally would give her the attention. But man, she was trying. She jumped up here
she
like
was
what, 4 or 5
yep.
times.
Yep, she was trying, no doubt. So we were just talking about the leading up to the event, the dating of the individual, and how you felt that
Right.
PTSD was something that only ever happened to people who got blown up or shot. I
Right.
felt the same type of way. What, and we're talking around 2015, 2016. You went another couple of years before you acted on your thoughts. What were those couple of years like?
So those couple of years, when I got back to Ohio, that's when I tried to start dating again, and that was not going very well. It's for some reason I kept dating ex-service members, which I don't know why. Joking, I know why, but um,
Yeah, we all know why.
right, pretty much. But so every time, I'd have a relationship, it'd go bad, generally, again, thinking back now, generally it was because of, me being loud and angry all the time and yelling and drinking and everything like that. Um, but each time that, I had a relationship that I thought was going to be, good, it always seemed to end very badly. And I felt alone again. I felt like I was abandoned again. Um, kind of the why me, why does this keep happening to me? Why do they cheat on me? Things of that nature. And, that kind of just compounded on the, earlier issue from the assault where I just felt alone. I felt like nobody wanted to help me. Nobody was there to help me. And so it just kind of compounded. Um, and then in 16, I met a guy, and we ended up getting married in 18. And then by January of 19, he was like, I'm done. That
Wow,
so
really?
right. That marriage lasted a whole 6 months. But not 6 months. I think it technically ended up being a year, but um he was more interested in people, other females. And so but I was so damaged and so just wanting people to be there for me that I still tried to stay with them and everything. And it wasn't happening. Then I tore my ACL in March of that year, 19. So then I had to have surgery in June. Um, he asked me if I did that on purpose to make him help me or something like that. I can't remember what it was,
Oh,
but
wow. Yeah.
no.
Yeah, that's what a lot of us trauma seekers do. We go out and tear our ACL so somebody else will help us. Yeah.
Right, yeah, I'm gonna make you stay with me because my ACL's torn. But yeah, so that was happening. At that time I was on active duty with the Navy. And so, I had that constantly working. We had combined our households. So now we had, 4 kids versus the two. Um, not getting much help with that from him as far as like, day-to-day type stuff. He's very old-fashioned type with, the women should do this, which I don't care, but that kind of put a lot of pressure. Everything kept compounding. And then my divorce was coming up in October. So my divorce was finalized, I want to say on October, it was either the 17th or 19th, and I knew the date was coming up. And it was October 12th that I finally, I was it literally was like a 5-second split decision where I am doing this now. Thought about it before everything, kind of walked it off. This was literally a night where I'd been, down the road. I think I only had a beer or two at most. And down the road, like it was walking distance. And I walked back in the house. There was nobody there because my kids were with their dad. And I just, I saw the pain pills for my surgery sitting on the counter, and I was like, I'm done. That was it. I was just like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I thought I was a problem for everybody. I thought I was the one that was always causing the problems. Um, he went as far to say like, you're just a mean person, you're a horrible person, things of that nature. And I took it really to heart. Because even though I would be out and angry and things of that nature, I always tried to at least be a good person. Um, I don't only get like loud and angry with people that made me mad. It wasn't like I was walking around like Walmart yelling at people,
Yeah,
or
but
anything like that.
if you're anything like me, which it sounds like you are, everybody made you mad. Everybody.
Pretty
It didn't
much.
matter. It didn't
There was
matter.
something. There was
Right.
something. They looked at me
Right.
wrong. They said something the wrong way,
Right.
whatever it was. I mean,
Yep.
and I get it, but just
Now we get it. We didn't get it
right.
then.
No, back then I just thought everybody's just stupid.
Right.
And like,
It's everybody else's problem.
right, it's everybody else's fault for pissing me off. Just leave
That's
me
right.
alone.
Right.
So
So you walk in the house and you grab this bottle. I'm assuming it was a pain med, Dilaudid, Oxy, some shit,
like it in.
and Vicodin, and you just swallowed it down.
I
What?
took whatever was remaining.
Any idea how many that was?
Oh, it was over 10. They actually ended up having to Narcan me on the way to the hospital.
Jesus.
Yeah. So I
So
mean, I took enough to
what?
do it, but
It is enough to do it. You are not you are 100% correct. But people are going to ask if you were alone in the house and you took this, how did you get to the hospital? What happened? I know what happened because we talked about it.
right.
But you made a
So
plea, essentially what turned out to be a plea on social media.
right.
Something to the effect of, if anything were to happen to me, someone please take care of my kids. And I'm going to start
Right.
crying already. Somebody took you seriously at that
Yeah,
moment.
it was actually somebody I went to school with. I mean, we were friends, and we were I'd say we're friends, and but we don't talk all the time or anything, or hang out all the time. But she just saw it, and she said something, told her that doesn't look right.
Kudos
And
to her. Kudos to
right,
her for stepping up, because so many of us say if you see something, say something, and so many people are afraid to unmask themselves from the barrier of social media and actually reach out and make a phone call and be like, "What the fuck is going on? I need to come over right now. This is not normal behavior. What is going on?" So
right.
kudos to her for doing that. And she couldn't reach you, could she?
No, she couldn't get a hold of me. Afterwards when I got my phone back and stuff, I saw, and there was just a tons of messages missed. Phone calls, text messages, um, messenger messages, everything like that. And, at that time, I was like, okay, whatever. But now thinking about it, one of my big things was no one was there to help me or be there for me. And that literally was what was happening, is they were trying to be there for me. So
Did you see that right away? Did you
no,
understand
no,
that?
I guess, I don't know if I was asleep, passed out, however it would want to be, but the thing that brought me to was hard banging on my front door. And I kind of went out there, and I don't even remember what the sheriff said. I do remember there was one sheriff, there's two deputies. One was a complete jackass, and then the other one was actually like very, like, the one understood. Like he knew that
Right.
there was like a mental health something going on.
Sure.
And so he was trying to de-escalate the situation. The other guy was like, he was just being a dick about it. But anyway, so that guy had me sit out there until the ambulance. I guess they'd already called the ambulance on the way. So um, he made me sit there. He's made me stay awake. He's like, keep your eyes open. And then when I was in the ambulance is when they Narcan me, and that is freaking a crazy ass feeling. The
Yeah.
adrenaline, like it was just a ridiculous adrenaline surge, wanting to sit up and everything. Because I was going back to sleep, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna go back to sleep. And
I want to be
that was
clear with everybody on Narcan. Narcan is not a miracle drug. It does not stop the processing of the opioid. It
no,
inhibits. That's all it does. You are still going to need to go to the hospital. You're still going to have your system flushed, stomach pumped, whatever they need to do, because you will, that Narcan is a temporary event. It's a
right,
temporary band-aid to get you to that help. You are not a opioid addict. You are not a heroin addict. You are not a drug addict. You saw a means to an end.
right. It was a
And
weapon of
yeah,
opportunity,
weapon
honestly.
of opportunity. That's a great way to put it. You and I talked earlier again. This wasn't your only attempt. You attempted quite shortly after this again. What was that like for you? Clearly, you had not, even though you saw the messages, you saw the outpouring of support and love, and there were people there for you. You still didn't grasp that people cared, right?
Right.
Um,
I think I was just still in that just dark, really dark place where um like people would show me they were caring, but maybe one person kind of didn't, and I didn't see it, or I didn't feel like they did.
you were
Um,
focusing on the negatives.
right.
Yep.
Only the negatives, and
Only. Yep.
nothing of the positives. And it was right after Christmas. It was the 26th of December of that year. I'd just taken my kids back to their dad's because I had them for Christmas, and again, walked into an empty house. And this time, though, I didn't have, that ready, fresh set, unfortunately, I'd call it, of availability of medication. So I went through my house and found whatever I could. I'm gonna guess it was probably expired from, maybe other surgeries or whatever I
Sure.
had, but it was nowhere near the same um the same closeness as the one before. And then unfortunately with this one, I actually had another friend, a separate friend, a very good friend of mine, uh, I called her and I was upset and everything, and she's telling me she's trying to get me to what's what I'm looking for, make myself throw up because she's like,
Sure.
half hour away, and I refused. So she did call for a wellness check. Well, that ended up with my house getting pulled over, and that was a whole thing with the cops again.
Wait, say that again. You said your house getting pulled over. What happened? What?
My house got pulled over. So
How does your house get pulled over? Were you in an RV or living in? Well, I mean, what are you
no,
talking about?
I was in my house and they showed up, and earlier that evening, prior to me, taking those pills again, I had tried to run away when she said she threatened a wellness check. So I tried to, drive out.
Ah,
But I blew one of my tires. Well, it was, I don't know, single digits. And I tried to change a tire and ended up saying, fuck this, and just drove the car back with a broken tire. Well, some awesome person, I guess, called that in at the same time with the wellness check, or right after the wellness check. So they came back under the ruse of being a wellness check. When I opened the door, matter of fact, when I opened the door, I'd already taken the pills and I had a beer and a shot glass in my hand. And the cop asked me to step outside because I have weapons. And I was like, sure, down the shot, drink the beer and walk outside. At this point, I had already taken the meds, and I'm like, all right, well, maybe I can make this more effective. So they took that as me slurring, which I was, but
sure, absolutely. Right.
it was from an attempted suicide, not that. Well, again, being in the state I was argumentative, and they wanted to try to do a field sobriety test on me, and I said, you just pulled me out of my house. So that's the joke of my house got pulled over because I was
Now I get
literally
it.
in my house. Yeah,
Now I
I
get
was
it.
literally in my house. So um they were all jerks, unfortunately. I didn't have the one guy that kind of understood the mental health aspect. They were all jerks. So I ended up getting tackled and um charged with a DUI after getting pulled out of my house, and then it got dropped to a reckless op because I
Because
blew
they
my
knew you were
tire.
driving, they saw yeah, I get it. That was their way to get you, and it's fine.
Pretty much.
I'm 100% for it because you were a suicidal vet. You were doing um you were partaking in events that were aimed to hurt yourself, and you could have hurt somebody
Right.
else out there, and nobody holds any ill will against the deputies for doing that at that time. This was your last suicide attempt, correct?
Correct, it was. So the first time they they sent me to, I can't remember the name of the hospital, but they tried to like re-prescribe me some type of, antidepressant.
Sure.
And so I started taking that. Well, obviously it didn't work. Um, and the second time happened. Thankfully, when the second time happened, there was a different doctor in there, and he actually, I guess, took the time to ask, fact
The
finding
right
questions.
questions. Yep.
Right. And when I had mentioned about the TBI, he's like, "Was that in your record?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "They have you on the entire wrong thing." He's like, "I'm not surprised that this happened again." He's like, "I'm surprised it actually took a month and a half for it to happen again." So
Wow.
they changed my medicine up there. After that, I ended up getting sent down to med hold just in time for lovely COVID. And yeah, so then I was stuck in a hotel room by myself. I'm like, man, you just gotta stop putting me by myself. I don't like this
I
person
don't
I
do
like at the
well
time. They
alone.
don't.
Can't you guys figure this out? I don't do
Right.
well alone.
I do a lot better now, but I had to get to that point. So, it
Right.
took time. They got my medication right. And, once my medication got right and it was in my system for enough time, and I started getting actual assistance,
Right.
through either group, individual counseling, things of that nature. They all said I was like very standoffish, like arms crossed, like I don't want to do any of this.
Absolutely.
Um,
We all are. fuck you. It ain't my
Right.
everybody else is the asshole, not me. Right.
Right. Yeah. And
That's
it
how we
wasn't,
all are.
it was actually groups. Groups was the thing that helped me get onto the path like I am now, where I can have a discussion, and talk about these things now, and work through these things, and so on and so forth. It was the groups, because I struggled there, between the suicide attempts last year. So about 2 years, I struggled still, not to the point where I was, actually doing things, but I still struggled with it. Um, and then I had, another downturn. They made me get the COVID shot, didn't want it, ended up getting COVID, turned into pneumonia. It just, and then I was just like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. But instead of doing anything permanent or whatever, my immediate thing was I reached out to a provider this time. So when I reached out to the provider, they got me into the day hospital, and then I started to see, which was virtual then, but then I started to see and actually hear, other veterans kind of going through the same thing, and you know, realizing that even though if I'm physically alone, I'm not alone. There's other
That's
people
right.
that have been through this,
That's
right?
right.
So, that's what helped me start, was just, kind of checking my, what is it? What's that called? When my ego, there we go, checking my ego at the door,
Check your ego at the
and
door.
saying, all right, I'm gonna get some help this time, I'm not going down this path again of
Right.
all that negative type stuff. So, and then, it's been much better. It's been a lot better, like just astronomically. So there's still
And
days when I'm
that's
low, but not to the
oh,
same extent.
absolutely. Absolutely. We all go through it. It's been 14 and a half years since I had a drink of alcohol. It's been just over 6 years since I attempted suicide. And probably within the last 2 to 3 years, where I myself have allowed myself to enjoy life, to
Right.
laugh, to cry, to enjoy an experience, to allow things to happen without having control. Is it easy? Not at all. Not at all. But when you can, or when I can sit back and go, a couple of things. One, this isn't for me. Two, I'm here for somebody else. Three, you're allowed to laugh. Okay, this is funny. This is cool, right?
Right.
You don't have to be a hard ass. You don't have to be the bouncer in the corner, right? You don't have to be that guy. You're allowed to just be here and enjoy a moment. Um, Things have gotten easier. Are they perfect? Nope. Rainbow, sunshine, and unicorn? Absolutely not. The weather, especially here in Ohio, fucks with me more than anything. When it's cloudy and gray out like it is right now, I just feel like doing nothing. But if I were to wake up tomorrow morning and that sun was up and it was shining, my complete attitude would be way different than it is today. Um,
Right.
I am an I'm I guess I'm in a transitional area, and that's what I hear from you too. And people need to understand. Look, yeah, I got help or you got help at the end of 18, 19, but we're at the beginning of 23 right now, and you're just now saying that once I checked my ego, you went through counseling and group therapies and a whole gamut of emotions and emotional states that at any one time could have sent you teetering the wrong direction. But you kept
Right.
getting up, you kept going back, and you started to see what you yourself needed to do to allow the healing, to allow the therapy, to allow other people into your close circle where I can trust them or you can trust them to say those deep things that make you feel that way, that put you in those emotional states. And I want people to know that it's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to find that first counselor when you first come out, and that's
No,
going to be
I
perfect.
went through several. I went through several before there was one that I
Absolutely.
wanted anything to do with.
Absolutely. But you kept going, right?
Right.
Because you knew what you didn't want, and you didn't want to be that dark again. I didn't want to be that person that goes home alone and says, well, the house is empty, time to kill myself. You don't need to be in that position. You kept going looking for someone that can help you. Not everyone is a specialist that claims to be a specialist is a specialist for you,
Right.
right? You have to find what works for you. Are you going to find it in the first visit? I don't know. Are you going to find it in the 12 visits? I don't know. But you know what you are going to find? You're going to find what you don't like and what you do like. And if you can separate those and then combine the things that you do like and overlook the things that you don't, you will find someone that can help you. 100%. I'm not lying. That is a guarantee that somebody can help you. If they have to put it in terms of baseball, then they put it in terms of baseball. If they put it in terms of, an aircraft flight line, then they put it in terms of an aircraft flight line. Not everybody's going to understand everything about everything that has happened. And
Right.
to be able to hear someone else's story, hear your own story through someone else's story is what has gotten me to where I am today. And it sounds to me as if the same type of thing has happened with you. Someone else told their story, which related so closely to your story that it just kind of clicked and you said, I'm not alone in this fucking shit. There is a
Right.
way to get out of it. I don't have to live like this. Once that happened for you, you made a decision to change your entire career path, didn't you? And you're going to. Um,
No, I did. Yeah, I did.
tell me about that because this is the kind of shit that I love because you go through something and you decide, you know what? AA has a line in there. In order to keep it, you have to give it away. And I
Right.
think that's exactly what you're getting ready to do when you get this certification. So tell everybody what you decided to do.
So what I decided to do is I wanted to be a certified peer recovery specialist. I just took the training. I'm actually just waiting on the state of Ohio to send me the link so I can take the test. And so I can be a certified peer recovery support. The program I went through is actually at the VA is the personal, was it peer recovery resource center. So there is a lot of peer type stuff in there. And, the one thing I noticed is that there wasn't a lot of females, which I'm used to being around a lot of guys. That's, Marine Corps, but there wasn't a lot of females, there wasn't a lot of people that had kids like at the ages mine did. There wasn't, and I was like, well, maybe I can help out those people who are similar to me. So, my biggest thing was I want to try to give back. I had people help me. I want to try to help my peers. I want to be there for them, if they're going down that rabbit hole or anything like that. Like
Right.
they need someone to talk to. I want to be there for them. So that is my thing. I like it.
It, I am I'm overwhelmed. I am very happy that you have reached out. I'm very happy that you are going to be a peer recovery specialist. I've actually taken a couple of those courses, suicide intervention training, where you're face to face with an individual who is suicidal at that exact moment. It's not easy training. They're not easy questions to ask. It's not easy stuff to talk about. What has given us this ability, you and I, to talk about it is our own experiences um,
Right.
that have put us in these positions. And I commend you for being willing to open yourself up for those discussions to allow others to see that, hey, there is an avenue out and a way through this, and it's not suicide. So, Lieutenant,
Right. I
thank
mean,
you.
yeah, and that even goes like another thing that even goes as far as I don't know how it really started, but there was, vets. I would post like things I'd find that help vets online and things like that. And I actually had some people I worked with. I've had people that were friends of somebody I used to work with, and I don't know them, but they're a vet, and they reached out and You know, kind of give him, I didn't give him the whole story kind of like we did here, just, you know, kind of the depression, that kind of aspect, you know,
Right.
I have an issue. And I've had them reach out to me like on that edge, and I'm happy, you know, I've been happy to respond and try to help them off that ledge. And thankfully I've been able to help. I think I've been able to help, at least, you know, they're still kicking. So maybe I did something, but
Hey,
um
one of the toughest things that I had to learn was you're not going to remember everybody. You're not going to help everybody. But the bottom line is you were there at that moment of need. You fulfilled that need and you're still here yourself. Those are the things
right,
that people like you and I have to remember, that I'm not going to help everybody. There are some that are going to slip through the cracks, but
right,
I'm going to make it my mission that at least my story is out there, and I'm going to be as available as I humanly can without sacrificing my own self, to let people know that you don't have to be a double amputee, a two-time Purple Heart recipient. You don't have to be this guy with the Bronze Star, Silver Star, to have had trauma.
right,
The trauma does not have to be combat related. It does not have to be sexual assault related, as it is
right.
in your case. It can be as simple as
It could be a
uh,
crash.
it could be a
It could
crash.
be, it could be
It could be
a
an in-flight
personal crash.
emergency. It could be a
It could, yeah,
motorcycle accident, a vehicle accident. My wife still has issues from her accident over a year ago, where she does not trust anybody else on the road right now because that
right,
individual came out of nowhere. She did not see it happen. So she's that's PTS. That's a trauma. You are triggered by certain events, certain situations, certain surroundings, and that's what happens. If you are struggling, if you are suicidal, if you do feel like you need help, there are a bunch of ways for people to get help now. Number one is the VA, right? I cannot say that that worked for me or that worked for the lieutenant here, but what I can tell you is that they are getting better. They have gotten
right.
their
They
most
have gotten
increased,
way better.
way better. Their budget for suicide awareness and training, I think, has nearly doubled in the last 5 years. They've created the 988 suicide awareness number as opposed to the 1-800-273 or the 1-888-273 number.
They have a chat now too.
There is a live chat right on va.gov. You can go in there and get to that. There are 22,000 veteran nonprofits in this country as well, looking to stop veteran suicide and aid veterans in their transition to civilian life. We are the few, there is no doubt. We are between 3 and 5% of the population, depending on who you talk to, but we are one of the most suicidal demographics as well, along with, you know, first responders, aircraft controllers, things like that. We all have something in common. I commend you for reaching out and talking about this and being strong enough to put yourself out there for it. I completely understand the need for some privacy on this. So again, like I said, I will not put you in the video, and we will not ever list your last name. Um, but just know that her story, unfortunately, is not unique. Um,
Yeah,
Especially in the military these days, and it's very sad that that is the case. If someone were to come to you, if a female were to come to you, let's go with a 20-year-old, you know, E2 comes to you and says, I need to talk to you. Something happened to me at a party this weekend. What would you, what would be the first thing you would say to that female?
the first thing I say is just, are you okay? You know, are you okay? You know, do you need anything more? How can I help? Something to basically make sure that she's okay to discuss it. You know, I want to make sure that she knows that she's not alone. Like, I'm here. What can I do? How can I help you? Um, and then just listen. You know, just listen, and you know, if she asks me questions, you know, um say I, you know, I can relate, I can understand, you know, I've been there, and you know, go from there. But that's the biggest thing, is how can I help you? Are you
That's
okay?
I would agree 100%. We are not going to give out any of the lieutenant's contact information. If you have a story that you would like to share with her, please get in touch with me at JohnnyMoMedia@gmail.com. Find me at JohnnyMoMedia.com and on Facebook at JohnnyMoMedia Straight Talk Podcast. And I will make sure that I pass your information along to her and she will reach out to you. There is a reason for that, and we're going to keep that with her. That's her own decision. So that's what we're going to do. Again, if you are struggling, if you are in crisis, dial 988, dial 911, go to your emergency room, tell them you're a veteran and you are in crisis. You will get the help that you need. And remember, the VA is not your only option. Lieutenant, thank you for sitting here for the last 90 minutes with me. You have gotten me more emotional
I'm sorry.
than a couple other people have because of the things that I remember and the situations that my daughter is in now.
Yeah.
I wish you nothing but the best, and kudos to you for being willing to sit here for this. So
Thank you very much, Johnny.
We will stay in touch.
Okay, and if anybody does want to reach out, I don't have a problem with speaking with anybody. That's fine.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Johnny. Yep.
Feeling down, never felt this down before. It's got my mind racing, thinking thoughts I shouldn't be thinking. So many things went wrong, so many friends have gone. I've been hurting for so long, for so long, but I won't give up, I won't quit. I'm not built that way. It'd be so easy, I admit. I'm not built that way. So many I love that need me out. I wouldn't break their hearts or live in fear. Another day, and I'm still here. I prayed it won't find me, but it snuck up behind me. Can't do what I want to, just trying to get through, because I love you. But I won't give up, I won't quit. I'm not built that way. lose my